America's fentanyl crisis affecting local communities across the country.
Now, a top Long Island leader is calling on President Biden to secure the southern border and also announcing a $60 million initiative aimed at saving lives.
Joining us now is Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman and Carol Trottere, who lost her son to a fentanyl poisoning in 2018. Carol, I want to come to you first. And by the way, we are so sorry for your loss. Would you tell us about your son, Alex, and what happened in this poisoning?
My son died of it was a heroin fentanyl poisoning in 2018. I had a Narcan kit at home, but that didn't do any good because he died in a friend's apartment. And I'm heartbroken and devastated since.
And Carol, Bruce, I'm going to get to you in a second, but Carol, I know that you spent your time since your son's death really working to counsel other parents who've lost children or loved ones to fentanyl poisonings.
Well, I belong to that club that no parent wants to belong to, and there are thousands of other parents like me. I am not special. There are thousands of parents on Long Island. Last year, nationwide, 107,000 people died of overdoses, most of them from fentanyl. So double that number, 214,000 parents are devastated like me. And not to mention siblings, grandparents. It's a giant web of grief, really, that goes out. I've been trying to do some awareness work lately just to make everyone aware of the crisis. It's the #1 public health crisis right now.
Carol, it is a giant web of grief. We were just showing pictures of your son, Alex, on the screen, and it enrages me that more isn't being done. And there are easy things that we can do to make sure other families, other moms don't go through what you're going through. And what really burns me is our White House press secretary was downplaying the crisis today. Listen to this.
As it relates to the fentanyl, this is not a U.S. problem. It's a global one. The trafficking of illicit drugs is causing a societal damage, needless death and suffering, and not just here, but also in Mexico.
Bruce, I promise we're going to get to you in a second. But Carol, how do you respond to Karine Jean-Pierre saying it's not a U.S. problem?
Well, I think it is a U.S. problem. I think we need to come down a little harder on China that sends all the ingredients, the precursors to Mexico. Let's start where it starts. I feel like there have to be some sanctions that we can put on them. They produce that out in the open. They produce those precursors on Main Street, not on side streets. And they don't seem to have many repercussions from that.
Bruce, the tens of millions of dollars that you are dedicating to fighting or preventing fentanyl poisonings, how is that money going to be spent out on Long Island?
Well, there are three aspects to battling this terrible, terrible epidemic in the United States. And one is education. We've got to educate our young people that fentanyl is not just a drug that gives you pleasure, it can be lethal. So we have to educate. Number two, we have to have treatments like Narcan. Carol is a great advocate for Narcan kits being distributed. We're now doing that. Wherever we have AEDs or defibrillators, we also have Narcan kits now in Nassau County. But the third thing is prevention, law enforcement, and Homeland Security. And we have to protect our borders. It was reported today that last year, 4,000 Chinese nationals came through our southern border. Now, why are they going through our southern border? Because it's easy to get into America. We've got organized gangs from South America and Central America that are peddling fentanyl. It's being produced in China, and it's an insidious drug that's killing our young people. Think about it this way. There are 300 deaths a day in America from fentanyl. That's the equivalent of an aircraft crashing each day with 300 passengers. Can you imagine the outrage there would be to the FTA, the Department of Transportation, the FAA, and all of our leaders in Congress if an airplane crashed, killing people each and every day? Well, that's what's happening with fentanyl, and it's happening to our young people. And we've got to close our borders. We've got to get serious about prevention, and we also have to provide treatment and education.
You know, we should also go after the cartels. I mean, the cartels are distributing and making massive amounts of money and killing our kids. Carol, I want to thank you for being such a strong voice for your son, Alex, and making sure his message is heard and coming on and sharing his story.
And I can speak for both of us. Carol, we pray for you. We pray for you and your family, and we pray for every family who's had to suffer a loss because of fentanyl poisonings. And we just hope that somebody in Washington steps up to prevent further death and further poisoning.
Thank you for putting focus on the issue.
Carol and Bruce, thank you.